Welcome to episode 2 of Roof Coating Empire. I'm your host, Max Resnich. Today, I have a dear friend and longtime client with me, Aaron Hershberger from Central States Commercial Roofing. How's it going, Aaron?
Hey, Max. Doing good. How are you?
Doing good. It's an honor to have you.
Good to be here.
So, I've known you probably now for, was it like 6 years?
Probably. Yeah, I was trying to think back, and I couldn't recall what year we started. I was going to ask you on that. It's been a while.
Time flies. Time flies.
Yep.
So, you're probably one of the most experienced and successful commercial roofing contractors I know of. And you've just been blessed beyond belief. And I think it'd be amazing for you to just kind of give us a rundown of how this all came to be. And just to get started, how did you find yourself in the commercial roofing industry? If we go all the way back.
Yeah, goes back almost a decade. So I had a lot of things happening in my world, and including trying to go to college full time, and had a couple I married my wife who had a grocery store, so I'm never satisfied with one of something. So except for my wife. But then we bought another store in town, and so I was just really cramming everything in. And my brother-in-law started this commercial roofing business, and it intrigued me. And he needed help one day, and as I was helping him lay down the systems with the coatings and everything, I just looked at him and kind of picked his brain on the profits on it and what it all takes to do this. And he told me and encouraged me, if this is something I want to do. So that's kind of the next step I took, was kind of getting my name out there, getting some of the trainings done. And I think through him is maybe where I learned about you, or through maybe my some of my friends in the commercial world, I found out about you. But so yeah, and then I started probably 2015. I started really hitting the roofs, mostly from cold calls and flyers. But if you're like anybody else, you get tired of the door knocking all the time. And so finally, it was like, we got to do something different, something that keeps giving, not something that we always have to keep searching for. And so when I started off doing commercial roofing, it was a lot just trying to get into people's doors and whatever we had to do to knock on doors, send flyers. And then, so that's kind of where we're at. I don't know if you want me to go into the whole spiel of how I got to know you and what you all did for us, but that's kind of, after the roofs started coming in, we had more money to spend, and you can't really make money with scared money. So that was a big thing for me, was to make sure that I'm always using it wisely and researching the people I bring in on the team as far as advertisements that we do for Central States. And if they're not a good fit for us, we just move on to the next person. And even if somebody, is good with websites or is good with lead generating, the first questions I ask is, but do you know commercial roofing? Oh, you can get me on 50 house roofs, but I don't want to be on any of those. So my question is always, what's your background, and how good really are you at what you do in our field? And it seemed, I've been with a couple people that have tended to just take my money, and there's no results. And, I usually give them some time. And so after I've been doing that for, 6 months, and I look back at the numbers, we keep track of the ROIs and everything, and realize that's not working. And I think after that one incident where I spent a lot of money, over 10,000, is I think we found you right after that. So that's kind of in short how I got into the commercial roofing and what I've been doing some with the advertising.
Wonderful. Do you remember what your first roof coating job was like?
Oh yeah, it was. I felt like I was on top of the world, because that was exciting. Once you get your first job, you feel like okay, maybe I can do this, because you always think well, somebody else can do it, but I just don't know if I have it in me. So after the first job was sold and we did the project, it was amazing how simple it is, but it's amazing how you want to always want to look back and talk to the people who have been doing it before you, because there's little things that you don't even think of. Yeah, you can easily spray something, but are you spraying the correct thickness? Are you doing the prep work correctly? Are you making sure that every protrusion is completely sealed before you do the final coat? Because after you cover it with that final coat, you won't be able to see it that well. And so there's a lot of things that I was taught by my brother-in-law and some of my mentors in the business, as you may say. And so with all that in mind, it is an easy way of making a living, and it's a fun way. I really enjoyed. I never figured, from grocery stores and pallet shops and whatever I was doing, plowing snow, going to school to be an RN, roofing was the last thing on my mind. I had no construction abilities, or I say no abilities. My wife thinks I can do more things than I say I can, but even around the house, I'm not a handyman. So I'm like, how can I do somebody's roof? But just investing yourself in there and taking a look at the structure, what it all takes, it's really not that hard. But You got to be honest, ethical, and you got to make sure you're doing it right. And the customers can have decades of roofs. But yeah, that's how, when I did my first roof, I realized I can do this. Customer service, if there's a leak, go back and fix it. So yeah, I really veer off from your questions, but I get excited about talking about roofing and our life here at Central States. So
Yeah, veer all you want. I'm just here to point you in the general direction.
yeah, yeah.
That's awesome. And how old were you when you got your first commercial roof under your belt?
So I actually just turned 40 this year, or it's been November, so it's last year technically. But so I think I was it would have been 20. I think I would have been 29 when I started doing the training, so I would have been 30. I was actually a little bit older than some of my friends that have started in the coding. Some have been, and I helped my nephew get started, and he's doing very well for himself. I think he was in the lower 20s, so I'd look at them like, you got a head start on me. But doesn't matter. And then I had another friend that was in his 50s, or actually in his 60s, and just turned his whole life around by getting into the roof coating business. And he was, in debt and had people helping him and all that. And next thing you know, a year or two later, he's owns his own home and has 100,000 in the bank. So and it's like any other business. This is not the only business you can make money on. That's by far not the truth. But it is one way that some of us that don't have college education or whatever can get into it and be very successful in a short period of time. You're as successful as you want to be, because if you sit at home and just hope a contract comes through, it's not going to happen. But if you go out there and make it happen, you can be successful in a month's time. It's not like you got to go to college for 4 years to get that degree in roofing. But you got to make sure you do it right, though. I don't want to. I would never recommend to have people come in here just trying to sell the roof and give a line of whatever they want to the building owner, but then not follow through. That's by far not something that is ethical or should be done. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you touched on a really good point there. In some ways, roof coating is very easy to get into.
Mm-hmm.
Much easier than traditional commercial or even like scaling a residential operation. But you can make a very bad name for yourself quickly and just add to the questionable reputation of coatings by just a haphazard, application and just not really fully owning the job, just trying to get in there, get your money, get out. So what would you say to the aspiring commercial roof coating contractor that wants to do it properly and build a solid brand and be in a position where he can sleep well at night, knowing he's coated some awesome roofs and that there's nothing that's going to bite him in the butt later?
Yeah. Well, the first thing, if you do something, you can't cry over spilt milk. You can't bring that milk back. I just heard an episode this morning about that. And so you do the next best thing, which is take care of the problem, take care of that. But to avoid that, as you were mentioning, and by the way, you mentioned about maybe a great commercial roofer that I am or whatever. I always think of myself. I look at the others and I see how far I have to still go. And I'm asking these guys questions. But in the meantime, we are building a company. But I want to say thank you for those words. But as far as not making those mistakes is when somebody does make a mistake, they're all over the place. Find out what they did and why it didn't work, and then don't do that, and go by the specs of the company. The company has been around. Conklin has been around for 40 years, so that's the coatings I use and I recommend. They're one of the first acrylic companies out there. I think they were the first innovators of the acrylic products. So we trust our products. We've been 40 some years of experience. Some of the guys in Conklin have just a knowledge of experience. And so you ask them, you just a simple phone call or an email. Email I tend to think is a lot less invasive to somebody's busy schedule. Just send a quick email and they do very good at replying. Does this adhere to a rubber roof or what methods should we take? And then also taking trainings. We have all the trainings you need for that. And so if you listen and you use common sense, you'll be fine. But if you start just you have a big pond on a roof and you're like, oh, I'll just coat that thing, it's not going to work. Acrylic coatings are not for to line pools with. I mean, that's just a fact. You'll have debris come and gather in it. You'll break down the acrylics. You'll have bird baths all over. But if you use it properly, I'm telling you, it's the longevity, the percentage that they spend on a roof and the longevity of that roof. We're looking at some roofs 30 years old, just doing great with no recoats. And so I don't know if there's any other companies that can say that. But if you have a proper water runoffs and you put the proper amount on it, you want to do the right millage. It's actually very simple, but listen and don't just think that we'll be fine and do it your own way. Just listen to the people that are helping you. Yep.
Very wise words there. And once you have a good footing and you have a couple of jobs under your belt, it's time to crank things up, right?
Sure.
if you could start over, what direction would you go in? I know you kind of mentioned that you worked with some companies and you spent money and
Hmm.
they just kind of ran around in circles wasting money because they didn't know coatings.
Sure.
Um, if you had to start over, if you're giving advice to somebody that's like new and they have a clean slate ahead of them, once they're confident and they're ready to go at full speed, what would you tell them?
Well, I would say you have to. It all comes down to how much money do you have available to spend. So of course, if you have $0 or in the red, you can't just call somebody up and say, hey, I want to spend 5,000 a month or whatever. You have to think a little bit on that. But get, like you mentioned, the first roof, you should have a little bit of money, correct? So that money should not go to buying your new boat or new truck or whatever. That money should go immediately into advertising, whatever is going to bring you in the next job, the next project. We have to stop looking at things where, well, I can make it well if I just get 2 or 3 of these jobs a year, because one year you might just get one or you might not get any. You have to. The busier we get here at Central States, the more I push into advertising. We use a certain percentage annually, and that's what we budget by. So whether we're busy or not, to shut off advertising is not even in our vision. That's not even our goal. So the more leads we get in, the more we pick up on it, and we go looking for other avenues to bring more leads in. We
Hmm.
do not slow down on that. You have to spend money, and so by doing that, whether it's using it to put money in your gas tank to go out and cold call, look on Google Maps. A lot of things are free on your phone. Look on that stuff. But you're going to get tired of doing that. You want something long term, and that's where you come in, Max. And that's where we went and did a lot of research, and we found you through some others, and we found out that you are commercial roofing expert like none other we've ever seen in the field. And we've had some experience with some others. They know everything about it. It's the same as selling windows, but they don't know what keywords to put in. They don't know what keywords to take out, so we don't get all kinds of spam. And so what I found out is every time we have some leads come in that were kind of junky, hey Max, this is kind of what's happening. You tweak something, next thing we know, we're getting the good leads in, and or if it's slow or something's wrong, I look across the board. You're not going to always get 10 leads a week. That's just not possible. Can you hang in there? Can you budget and just keep that money flowing into the accounts? That way, when you sell those roofs, make sure that money's going to the right places, and feed your family, make sure you're all good. But then put that back in, because that's going to come back, tenfold. And that's what we're doing with you for the last 6 years or whatever. We've been consistently getting leads, and there's some slow times when people might have started and they're like, oh, I can't spend this because I didn't get anything for the last 20 days, and I just started. I'm like, give it 6 months. I actually recommend for sure 6 months on something, even if you're not, if you're going to do the research and you're going to dive in, put 6 months of that, whatever it is, into your head and think of it as spent. And that's what you got to concentrate. After 6 months, you evaluate. But if you start evaluating every other day because you didn't get a lead, some of your leads, Max, we weren't sure about, and all of a sudden we sold, over a $3 million project. And then there's others that you're like, okay, nothing came in for a little bit, but then we sold a lead. Your leads are pretty consistently good years to come. So we sold a job that I got from you 2 years ago, and it was like, okay, so we keep those in the file. Don't lose those old leads, because they're money in the bank. They're in the savings account. So you want to be tapping into those and calling back and doing all the right things. Don't just look for new leads. So you start really building that tunnel or that pipeline, and it's amazing how many we have in the pipeline that came from you over the past I don't know how many years, and we have no thought of going anywhere else. Now we do have, you want different streams of advertisement and billboards, whatever you do, put it on your trucks. If you want to send flyers, make sure you have a really good website. You work with landing pages, you work maybe with the websites too. But all in all I can say is I'm glad we found you, Max. And I'm not just saying this because we're on this call. You're one of those guys where I can get a hold of you or your team pretty much night and day. I can pretty much count on you to tweak if I need something tweaked, and if we give feedback of what leads are working and not working. And through all that, I can rest assured during the night that, our business is continuing on because we got leads coming in, and not just, will these guys work or won't they?
Thank you for the kind words there. Um, if you had to kind of ballpark it, how much do you think you've sold in jobs from RoofEngine and the Google Ads over the years?
That might be, there's millions and millions. I'm not sure I can even give you a number. 5 to 10 million, I don't know. It would be really tough to know exactly. We could do the figures, and we are actually keeping a lot better track now. We actually have our agendas in place, our visions, our goal boards of how many leads we want to get in each month. So we're keeping, every year we do better at keeping track of what's coming in and our ROIs and everything. I was a little bit of a lone ranger some of the first years, and we have a good team in the office now. So with that, we're able to do a lot better in keeping track. But without kind of doing an extensive dive, I would say, yeah, there's many millions put through for sure, and it kept our business going and growing. We're headed to a $10 million business here in the next year or so. So that's kind of where we're, yeah. And you have a vital part in that.
That's awesome to hear. Very, very happy for you with that growth. And besides being a great soundbite for what we do, it also serves as like a guidepost for, other guys getting into this or looking to grow.
Yeah.
Because patience is a virtue.
Oh,
And,
sure.
I think having children, having a family, and running Google Ads will teach you everything you need to know about life.
I second that. I don't know all
they,
about the Google Ads, but I know about the kids.
well, you pay the credit card bill, so you know what happens when you don't get leads and your credit card bill comes. Like,
Yep.
it hurts if you
Yep.
don't get leads. But then if you zoom out, maybe the day is painful. Maybe you have a hard day in business, or you have a hard day with your family. But over the course of a year, or over the course of 5 years or 10 years, all that stuff washes away because it's just worth it.
That's
and
right.
You kind of have to persevere and stick with it. And you can't be judging the success on weekly or monthly timeframes. It's a long-term game. And one of my true regrets in business is I haven't spent long enough on my sales calls and my consultations explaining the mindset behind digital advertising to commercial roofers. I was more focused on the mechanics of it. But there's a lot that goes behind the psychology and how to keep a sound mind and cultivate this sense of patience and peace in your business and in advertising. Because a lot of guys are coming from maybe residential roofing, where you can eat what you kill that week. If you get a lead, you can get that check within 4 or 5 days.
That's right.
In commercial, that doesn't apply. You're going to have a lot of disappointment, and it's more so a farming mentality. When you become a farmer, and if you were to start farming and you planted 100 apple trees, and every week or two you went out there and you didn't see anything growing and you started digging things up, your neighbors would think you're insane.
Yeah.
Like, that boy doesn't know anything about farming.
Yeah.
Well, this is commercial. To me, this is the same exact thing. Like, you need to understand the relationships that are going to pay you the most. They don't bud in a week or in a month. Sometimes it takes 6 months.
That's
right.
Lucky.
Sometimes it takes 2 years. I'm sure you've seen this yourself, just the amount of jobs that just come through out of nowhere from leads you haven't heard from in a while.
That's right. That's right. That's very true. That's a good picture of how everything works. At the moment, it's painful, and we're very short-sighted sometimes, including myself, and we have to look at the big picture, whether it is raising our family, whether, it's hard to take the children to church, but if they don't know church, do you think they're going to just start going when they're 16 or 18? That's not going to happen. So it's the little things of that you do in your life, and including with the commercial roofing, the follow-ups, the callbacks, the little painful things. It seems painful because you might not like talking to people as much or whatever, and you just rather have them call you. But some of those things can lead to millions in revenue per year, and you're worried about not getting a lead one day when you could be working on all that other stuff that was already brought to your door, and you just ignore that because you're looking for new stuff. And so, yeah, that's very true. I like that what you just brought out there with the farming.
And I'll just say this to kind of segue to my next topic that I want to cover with you. But I think to be a farmer, a good farmer, you need to have a lot of faith. And that faith, in one critical area, it's applied in if you plant a strawberry seed, you're not going to get an orange tree. You're going to get strawberries. You just have to know that seed, when planted, will bear a specific type of fruit. And how does faith and God apply in your success, and what role does that play in business for you?
Well, it's amazing what it does, because our minds tend to worry, like and our minds can actually make ourselves sick, and so if you don't have faith, you really don't have much to stand on. Just whatever's happening at the moment is what you believe in, kind of. So with that in mind, you have to be able to, if anything's happening in your life, think of what the worst thing is that could happen. And nobody's going to shoot you. Nobody's going to come take you to jail. I mean, we're in a free country. Do things the right way. And you just start, okay, well, this isn't so bad. I can make these adjustments. So in the end, you were kind of worrying about nothing. And sometimes it is something, but there's still a way out. And so you have to have faith in doing the best you can, waking up in the morning and just realizing, I'm going to do the best I can. But what I can't do is control everybody around me or what's happening all the time. But I can do the best I can with every moment I have. And so I have to have a lot of faith that things, in the bad moments, remember the good moments. If you had any, you should have had some, and just realize it's going to be there again before you know it. And so that's part of the faith I go by. If the leads are dry, if we're trying to make payroll, if we're doing this and that, everything's just seeming like it, what's going to happen next type of thing. Do the best you can. Like that's my faith has to, it kind of projects a good future. If you believe in God and you believe that He is faithful, He takes care of the sparrows each day. They don't worry about stocking up. I know the squirrels gather their nuts for winter. I mean, that's maybe a little bit how we are, but in the end, God provides, and He's never let me down. He's never let really anybody down if we just trust in Him and have that faith that that He will pull us through whatever we're going through. But the biggest thing we can't do is just have one foot in and one foot out. You can't have one foot in the commercial roofing business and then one foot out, and when something goes a little sideways, we just step back out of the frame and we start thinking about a grocery store, thinking about plowing snow again to make ends meet and stuff. You got to keep both feet in there, and you got to look at the picture. What can I do? Strategize, make it happen. But don't just be halfway in or halfway out, whatever. Just you got to be in all the way. And maybe there's a time when you can do other things. When the roofing business is going good and you got managers in place, you can do other things. But until then, you got to keep both feet planted and move and have faith.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said. Yeah, I personally love to remind myself, that the Bible really talks clearly about we're only entitled to the work that we do and not the results of the work.
Yeah.
That'll take care of itself.
Yeah.
So as long as you just keep on doing the work and you do the work to the best of your ability, you don't have to worry about what'll come from that.
That's right. Because if you start loving people just because they're going to love you back, that's going counterintuitive of what the Bible actually teaches us. And so when we give, when we do things, the results will show itself. And if we always just worry about results, it doesn't go that well. So I like that. That's good.
Yeah, it just simplifies it for us. We don't have to beat ourselves up with anxiety about, oh, I'm not doing as well as this guy that started at the same time as me,
Mm-hmm.
or I'm not on stage. Yeah, what was happening?
Yeah,
it just simply comes down to. I'll let you take it.
Yeah, that was a good point you brought out. So often we're looking across the field at our neighbor's roofing company. They got more trucks. Theirs is lettered beautiful. This is that's happening, and we have to stop doing that to ourselves because that's really not beneficial. And sometimes we got to make sure that they're even worthy opponents, worthy rivals. Because if they're not worthy rivals, we tend to buy that new truck to impress somebody we don't even like to get their approval, right? I mean, that's kind of what people say, whatever. So we have to make sure to just look at our business, look at the bottom lines of, the profits, whatever it is. Look at how fast can we grow? If it takes you 5 years to get to where you think somebody else is, you don't know what he's doing. He might have gotten the biggest loan and has more stress than you'll ever know to get to where he's at fast, and he might lose everything tomorrow. I always say God gives and He can take away, and it's like just be in your own moment and look at your own business and compare yourself maybe with your previous years and stuff, but don't compare with the neighbor's business and grow from your own from your own goals and stuff. Don't use somebody else's. But that was a good point. I tend to do that too. I look at other roofing companies, think they have it all together, and I've got so much to do and so much to learn. And maybe somebody's looking at this conversation and thinking that Central States has it all together, and it's not the case. We're always working, always striving to put better systems in place. And the best thing to do is concentrate on your business and making sure you're doing what you can to make it grow, and not worry about catching up with the next person.
Exactly. Yeah, one of my first mentors, a smart man by the name of Alex Charfin, he told me once, if your business doesn't have problems, soon you won't have a business. Because it means you're not growing.
Yeah. Yep. I already, I don't know if I made this up. I thought maybe I did, but I years ago I said, if your ducks are all in the row, you probably don't have enough ducks. So I don't know if that's true or not, but I didn't patent that saying yet. So
if I can get that on a motivational poster in a month, I'll be very happy.
There you go.
My birthday's coming up in 11 months. That's awesome. Another thing I want to really touch on here is, you've been blessed, business. I've been blessed. I've been at this now for 8 years, and for lead generation and for a marketing company, that's dog years basically. We've been around for a long time because a lot of companies go out of business, they smear their reputation.
Yeah.
I think a big part of that is, I started really trying to dive into what does it mean to be, a good steward of money, and if we receive wealth and prosperity and we want to keep it, I think the secret to that is actually distributing that to others who are not as fortunate or in a position to receive as much as we do. It's not there for us to hog. It's energy, and it's there to be supplied and distributed, and that's what creates more of it as well. What's your take on that?
I think if you give to receive, you're missing the blessing, and I believe it comes naturally. It's in the order of things, and it's actually scriptural. And so I look at things. You can really soon tell if a person is in business to make money, if you want to call it greedily, or if he wants to just make more money than the next person, and there's nothing else really in there. My whole thing is for missions and for the churches. My wife and I were fortunate enough to be able to start a small church in a small town with others, of course, and that takes a lot of funds to get that rolling, and buying the church house, a lot of renovations and more stuff, and so I look at all the money coming in as God's money, and so if we tend to look at it that way, it makes you think twice before buying things. The problem is with me, I'm still human and I love nice things, so I still go out and I buy nice things. Just bought a nice Jeep to go off roading with my son, and so we do things like that as well. But we should never take away from the giving part of our life. If you don't have enough money to give, you should probably stop doing anything for yourself in a selfish way as well. But yeah, I don't know if I covered that too well, but the main thing for me is as money comes in, you're not going to start giving once you get more money. You have to be a giving person. You have to just always be giving, and it's not just money, it's your time and your efforts, and whatever you have. Old guy needs wood cut. Sometimes that's the hardest things to give. It's easier to write out a check. And so your time, energy on people less fortunate. It's just, I think giving is kind of a nature of things. Like, people can tell pretty quickly if you're a receiving kind of guy or if you're a giving kind of guy. And you definitely don't want to just be a receiving guy. And yeah.
So true. So true. One of the things that I really try to teach as much as possible through RoofEngine and now through this podcast is just the concept of the bar is set incredibly low in commercial roofing when it comes to giving to your market. Commercial property owners, they're so used to just being approached by guys trying to make a sale and extract money from them, that all you really have to do to break into even the most competitive commercial roofing markets is simply give as a part of your business and make that the entrance to your business.
Yeah. I kind of went off I went more on the personal level, but in the commercial world, that is very true. If you look at what you can get out, so if you do a roof and you do an extra gutter cleaning and you fix their downspout and you send them a change order and you want $495 for that, imagine some of these leads cost $500 to $1,000 per lead, and you haven't even sold the job yet. Why would you? Why not tell them this is what we did, and we didn't charge extra, but this is what we did for you just because we knew it needed it done, and some other things. Now, there's times when you have to have a change order and there's lots of extras and all that. But like you mentioned, being giving, even when you're there and you're looking at the roof just to quote it, and the drains are clogged, and you don't want to just go fix all their problems, because that's not what you're out there for. You're trying to, for free is what I mean. So there's a place, a time and place for everything. But clean out that drain and tell them, hey, the water's going down now, but this is what your roof needs and whatever. You would never have had to unclog that drain. But being giving is not a bad thing in anything, and it usually comes back in a good way. Even recommending, like when somebody has another commercial roofing company next to you, and buddy says he works at maintenance, and he says, yeah, this guy came in and he's going to do our roof. Oh, I wouldn't get that guy. Instead, if it's a good company, say, they're actually a very reputable company. They'll take care of you. You don't have to always try to put others down to put yourself up, or that stuff comes around, and it's amazing how it comes around. So I like your thought process: giving, and things will happen.
Exactly. Yep, and that's a great point about not being a nickel and dimer.
Mm-hmm.
One of my favorite books is Napoleon Hill, Think and Grow Rich, and one of the laws in there is always doing more than what you are paid for.
Yeah,
and just making that a part of your DNA in your personal life and in business. And
that's true.
God in the world, it just has a way of rewarding people who go above and beyond what they were asked to do, just because they want to do it.
Yeah, that's true. We have a project manager we just hired, and we hired him as a manager because he was in a manager position and he was used to working with people. And so we told him, so he's on a salary base, so he doesn't have to stay late. We actually don't really want him to stay late and get burned out and all that. But come to find out, when they're doing a roof, he told me as his job, yes, he could say he's project manager, look at his watch and go home. But he said he doesn't ethically for himself. He can't do that. This roof needed to be done. And so he's going to stay there with the guys and be a part of the team and get it sealed up before the rain the next morning. And he did that. He showed that throughout the past month or two that he worked for us. And the thing to think about, yes, I could tell him, well, you've got a big future here. You've got a place here. And if you keep doing that, I'm going to do this and this, and I'm going to do this and this. Yeah, we talked about the future here, and he does know that. But the thing is, we just want to see and observe, who is this person really? If you start putting all this stuff in front of him, he will do that to reach those goals of getting this much a week. I want to see who you really are when nobody's around, when things, and we're seeing that happen without any carrot in front of the horse to make it happen. And so that's who you really are, whether you get paid for it or not. At the end of the day, if you get paid to shovel half the sidewalk and there's an old lady that's going to come out and you don't shovel the other half, I look at you way different than the guy that just shovels everything, and whether he gets paid or not.
Very good point. Very good point. Yeah, there's a lot of consequences for just doing the bare minimum or just doing what you're paid for.
That's true.
But you're always going to have opportunity coming to you faster than you can handle.
Mm-hmm.
If you're going above and beyond and just doing the right thing and making that a part of your code of conduct.
Yeah, that's true.
Great. We're coming up on 40 minutes here, so this has been a super awesome talk. Thank you so much for sharing your story, and I think this is going to be very, very inspirational and motivational for a lot of guys out there. Any closing words or anything you think we've missed?
Well, I think you need people in your corner if you want to be successful, and watch out who you put in that corner. You can have people that can kind of just depreciate everything you do, or just kind of bring the half glass. The glass is half empty instead of half full. So make sure you bring the right people. But with that in mind, that's including advertisers, people like you, Max, in my corner. I need you. I need people that motivate me. You bring the leads in, but if I don't do anything with it, it's not gonna go anywhere. So you helping me with every month sending me, this is what we sent. These were the good ones, the bad ones, working together with me. Always make sure that people in your corner are rooting for you and not working against you. And I think that'll get you a long way.
Wisdom from a man who's done it and keeps on doing it.
Thank you.
Where would you like to be 3 years from now with Central States?
3 years from now, with what we have on the boards, we have a general manager in place. We've got the sales guys coming in. We got 2 sales guys, project managers. We're trying to get a secretary in yet. I do a lot of that yet. I feel like that's something I shouldn't be doing. So putting people in place, not micromanaging. In 3 years, I should be able to walk away for a 2 months vacation and not be doing anything here because of you guys doing what you do, my guys doing what they do, working together. And we're hoping that 3 years we should be between 10 and 14 million is what our goal is. And so I hope you can help us get there, Max.
We'll be here. We'll keep on doing what we've been doing, and then throw in a few new things into the mix.
Love it.
Perfect. Aaron, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much for just being a great friend and a great client going back to the beginning of RoofEngine. You're one of the original commercial roofing clients before we were just doing residential. And after seeing, what you were doing and what is capable, or what you're capable of doing in the commercial roof coating space with just a few guys, you made me go all in and just serve commercial roofers as best as I can. So you kind of clarified my purpose. So,
awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. You're welcome. Yeah. Well, thank you, Max, for everything you bring to the table. You have a great team, by the way. I love talking to Michelle, Alex, and all those guys in there. I know I can count on them to come back with an answer. If you're in the middle of something, there's somebody there. So thanks for the service again. I appreciate. I just appreciate you letting me have some time to talk about it as well. I always enjoy talking with you, and this was good. So,
are you open to a part 2 in a couple months?
Sure. Let's do it.
Perfect. And we'll cut it there.
All right. Thanks.